So let's start this training. Before we start this training, I would like to request that please do not forget to subscribe my channel and like my videos, and please do share with your friends and colleagues as well. And please show your support so I can get some more interested content for you, and you will get some good knowledge for your career and for your performance also that can improve. Okay, so let's start our training. 6.2 Manual handling. Manual handling. What is manual handling? Transporting or supporting of a load, including the lifting, putting down, pushing, pulling, carrying, or moving thereof by hand or bodily force. Whenever you are pulling, pushing, or lifting by using your body force, that process we are calling it manual handling. What is the manual handling common injuries? There are some common injuries which is related with the manual handling. It's called disc injuries, trapped nerves, muscle strains, hernias, sprains and strains, ligaments and tendons, and fractures, burns, lacerations and bruising, and work-related upper limb disorder. So these are the main common injuries which is related with the manual handlings. This is the anatomy of the spine. The spine is made up of certain parts, nerves, spinal cord, muscles, tendons and ligaments, and so on. So as you know that spinal cord is one of the main part of our body which is required to movement. If spinal cord get damaged or if anything happen with the spinal cord, that will be the major impact on our body and it will restrict some movement of our body. So that's why we need to be very careful whenever we are doing any manual handling works. Effects of load on the disc. What are the loads that can affect on our disc? It's a vertebra, disc, and vertebra. You can see here these are the different parts of the load that can affect on our back disc. So these are the different part of the disc that can affect. A slip disc trapping a nerve, a spinal cord, nerve bundle. This is the spinal cord, this is the nerve bundle, and this is the distal disc here. There is a distal disc. Employer's responsibility. What is your responsibility as an employer, as a company owner, as a manager, as a director, or any higher level position you are, and you are responsible for health and safety in the organization? Your responsibilities are avoid hazardous manual handling operations so far as possible, example by elimination. Second, assess any hazardous manual handling activities that cannot be avoided. Third, reduce the risk of injury so far as is reasonably practicable. Example, automation, mechanical aids, and etc. These are your responsibilities as employers, and you have to make sure that your employees, they are safe and they are aware about the manual handling hazards and risks. How can I avoid manual handling? How you can avoid the manual handling as an employer or as an employee? Eliminate the need to move the load, first of all. The second one is automate the movement. So, and the third one, mechanize the movement. So you can use the trolleys. First of all, you can avoid the movement of load where you do not require to lift the load or travel with the load. Second thing, automate the movement so the load will move with itself. The third one, mechanize the movements. You can use the trolleys or certain other mechanical equipment to transfer the load. How do I know if there is a risk of injury? How you can be sure that there is a risk related to the manual handling whenever you are doing any manual handling activities? Do people puff, sweat, and get very fatigued while they performing any manual handling task? Are work areas cramped? Are loads excessive or awkward? Is there a history of back pain and absence in the employees and in the organization that employees they are taking absence or they are complaining about the back pain? So all these things you have to check. Then you can say that yes, there is a risk of injury related to the manual handling. Lifting and lowering filter. Assessment guideline, filter maximum weight guidance. In this one you can see here shoulder height. There is a shoulder height and there is a 7 kg here. Whenever the weight will go above the shoulder height, it will get less. If you are holding the weight near your body, it is above shoulder level 7 kg. If you are holding the weight above your body, it is 3 kg. So you can see here, whenever you are holding the weight or lifting the weight near your body, more weight you can lift compared to far from your body. This is the chart for the woman, and this is the chart for the man. The man can lift maximum 25 kgs near knuckle height. So this is the 25 kg near the body, and far from body 15 kg. So these are the guidelines values only. So you have to assess the risk before you are giving the instruction to the employees that this much weight you can lift. Manual handling operation, carrying. Guideline, filter similar, hold load against body. As you know that whenever you are holding the load against the body, you can lift it more easily, and heavy weight you can lift it. Rest every 10 meters. Do not travel with the load far. So every 10 meter, put the weight down and rest it, then again lift it and then travel. Pushing and pulling. Handling while seated. Whenever you are sitting and you have to handle the weight. Guideline values much reduced. Applies to areas of shoulder to hip. So for the woman, maximum weight is 3 kg, and for the man, maximum weight is 5 kg whenever you are handling any load while you are sitting. Duties of employers. The employer should make a suitable and sufficient assessment of the manual handling operation and reduce the risk of injury to the lowest level possible. So that is the responsibility as an employer, and the employees has a responsibility that follow any safe system of work introduced and any other information provided by the employer. Duties of employers. How should the employer assess the risk? What does the suitable and sufficient risk assessment mean? The following 4 factors should be considered as part of the risk assessment. So whenever you are doing any risk assessment related to the manual handling, always remember load, individual capability, task, environment. So you can say that you have to remember always light, L-I-T-E, L as a load, I as an individual, T as a task, E as a environment. We will discuss about these 4 different parts next later on in a very detailed way. Duties of employer. How can I reduce the risk of injury as an employee? Use mechanical assistance, as I told you earlier. Redesign the task, load or environment. Team handling for heavy or unwieldy loads. And good handling technique. Mechanization. Mechanization is very, very important whenever you have to handle the heavy loads or very large or bulky loads or certain kind of loads. Mechanization is very, very important too. Mechanical assistance. These are the mechanical assistance which you can take help to reduce the risk of manual handling. Factors to assess. As you know that we have to assess 4 factors. Load, individual, then the T, task, and E, environment. So let's start with the load. The load. Whenever you are assessing the load, you have to check that is it heavy, the load is heavy or not. Is it bulky or unwieldy? So what is the load? Is it difficult to grasp? Is it difficult to hold? What is the shape of the load? Is it unstable? Maybe it is a liquid or the solid load. Is it sharp, hot, or otherwise hazardous? What kind of load it is? So these are the things you have to check whenever you are assessing the factors related to the load. Modifying the load. Honeycombing the load may reduce the weight depending on the type of material used. Modifying the load, avoid loads in container shifting unexpectedly. Using packing material may also reduce damage to contents. So whenever you are transferring the load, avoid them transferring in a container, because when you are transferring in the container, loads may shift unexpectedly, and that can increase the risk of manual handling and hazard related to the manual handling. So whenever you are shifting them, make sure you are packing them properly So that can avoid the damage also, and that can reduce the risk of shifting unexpectedly when you are transferring the load. Modifying the load. This is a rudimentary form of mechanization. Put it on wheels. You can place a heavy toolbox on wheels and push it along using a handle. So whenever you are transporting any heavy tools, so what you have to do, you have to put them on a wheel. So you can easily transport them, or you can easily push them whenever you need in different areas. Factors to individual assess. Now we're done with the load. Now we have to assess for the individual. Individual means who going to lift that load, require unusual strength, height, etc. Who's going to lift that load, whether high height or the lower height, short people, or what is the strength required for that load. Pose a risk to pregnant workers. Who's going to lift, a pregnant worker or woman, or who? A young people. Pose a risk to people with health problems, a person who has a health issues. Other factor is protective clothing or equipment worn. Does that affect the operation? So these are the things you have to check whenever you are assessing the factors related to the individual things. After then, we have to do the task. Does the task involve being held at a distance from the trunk, twisting, whether you require twist, stooping, reaching upwards, excessive lifting or lowering, excessive carrying distance, how far you have to travel, pushing or pulling, sudden movement of the load, how the load is transporting, how you are transporting the load. Is the load is liquid, solid? While you are transporting, is there any risk of sudden movement? Frequent prolonged physical effort, sufficient rest periods are there or not? A rate of work imposed by a process. How fast you have to carry the load, or how fast you have to lift the load. So all these things you have to check whenever you are assessing the factors related to the task for the manual handling. Effect of distance from trunk. So capability percentage, and after that you can say the distance from the spine in centimeters. 70 centimeters, 70 plus centimeters, 70, 50, 35 and 20. You can see here, if you lifting any load near your spine, then the heavy load you can lift. If it is far from the spine, you will make it far, then the load will go down. So you can see here 20%, 40%, 60%, 80%, or 100%. So the percentage, the load lifting percentage will go down whenever you are lifting the load away from your body. Modifying the task, where people of different sizes use the same workstation, you could provide a simple platform to raise the smaller person to avoid lifts above shoulder height. Maybe you have the different kind of person who has the high height, higher, and the shorter people. So, but the same task need to be done by the different height of people. So what you have to do, you have to make a platform also, or you have to put some stool also. You can put some other platform to make sure that smaller height people also can do that work easily, and it should not cause any health or safety issues to the smaller height people also whenever they are doing any task related to manual handling. Modifying the task using shelving system with a trolley minimize the lifting you have to do. Although the same goods are on the shelves in the before picture, the load is reduced by arranging how they are stored. Heavier items are kept at the height between the mid and mid chest. So whatever the item you are arranging on the shelves, you have to make sure that the heavier item should be your below chest and your above the thighs. Heavier items are kept at the height between mid thigh and mid chest, where you can handle them with the least risk of injury. The lowest and two upper shelves are used to store lighter articles. So whenever you are increasing the height above the shoulder level, you have to store above the shoulder level. You have to make sure that you are not storing the item more than 3 kgs above the shoulder level, because the people, when they have to reach there, they have to stretch their body, and that time they won't be able to pick them properly. So if there is that is heavy, more than 3 kgs, that can cause the risk also, and the accidents may happen. Now, factors to assess environment, the work environment, the fourth one. Does lack of space prevent good postures? What is the space for the work? Are floors uneven, slippery, or unstable? What is the floor condition? Where we have to travel with the task or where we have to do the manual handling? What is the condition of the floor? Is it unstable, slippery, uneven? Are there variation in floor level up and down, like stairs need to use? Is it extremely hot or cold, where we need to do hot condition or cold one? Is it extremely humid? What is ventilation like? Is there proper ventilation or not? Are the gusts of wind or strong air movements? So that you need to check also. Is there any chances of air movements also or strong winds also? What is the lighting like? Is there proper lighting or not? Where we have to work, dark or lighted area? So these are the things need to assess. Modifying the environment. These are the things you can use to modify the environment, to modify the area. So you can see here there is a platform and there is uneven floor. So we can use the platform to make sure that we can easily shift the trolley above the platform. Training. The training is very important related to the manual handling. Safe lifting technique is very important. Stop and think before you start to lift. Position the feet, adopt a good posture when you have to lift it, get a firm grip, keep the load close to your body, don't jerk, move the feet, put down, then adjust. This is a safe lifting technique that we have to use. And I have shown the picture also starting of this video. You can use that picture also for the proper lifting and safe lifting technique. Mechanical handling equipment. Lifting equipment is defined as any equipment used for lifting or lowering loads, including any attachments and accessories. Mechanical equipment may be divided into two groups: manually propelled or powered devices, mechanically powered devices. Manually propelled or powered devices include trolleys, sack trucks, and pallet trucks that we can use to transport the load or lift the load. Mechanically powered devices include types of forklift trucks, conveyors, lift and hoist, and cranes. We will also consider lifting accessories like chains, slings, shackles, and eyebolts. These are the lifting accessories also. These are the mechanical handling equipment: pedestrians operated load moving equipment, caged platform truck, and two-wheel platform truck, sack truck, pallet truck. So these are the equipment that we can use for the manual handling. Mechanically operated load handling equipment. We have the forklift trucks, we have the lifts and hoists, we have the conveyors, and we have the cranes. So pedestrian pallet stacker, forklift trucks, we have the reach truck, we have the pedestrian counterbalance truck, and side loading truck. So these are the different mechanical handling equipment, forklift trucks, that we can use to transport the load. Forklift trucks, hazards of forklift trucks. What are the hazards included with the forklift trucks? When you have to identify the hazard related to any equipment, I will personally tell you that go and visit that equipment personally and check that equipment, that machine physically. So you will get the great idea, very good idea that what are the hazards involved with those things. And you can, when you have to answer this question also, you can make an easy image on your mind. And yes, you can see that you can try to see in your mind and you can see that yes, there was this thing and the light was there also, flashing light, brakes, and certain other things are involved with the forklift trucks. So the hazards of forklift trucks: overturning, falling from loading bays, etc. Loads falling if the load are not stable or not kept properly on the forklift trucks. Vehicle striking people, vehicle striking building, plant, or equipment used by unauthorized person if the people they are not trained, and refueling related to the fuel hazards. This is the typical stores that we are using the forklift trucks to use the manual handling and to lift the load from below level and the mid level and the higher level also. There we are using the forklift trucks. Counterbalance forklift truck. This is the counterbalance forklift trucks. The back side there is a balance. The weight is there which can make a balance when you have to lift the load. Forklift trucks, lateral instability. Whenever the load is not on the center, what will happen? Your forklift trucks will be unstable. So that's why whenever you are lifting any load from the forklift trucks, first of all, you have to identify the load, which load you're going to lift it, and you have to check the load capacity of your forklift trucks. If the load capacity is higher than your forklift trucks, sorry, if the load is higher than your capacity of your forklift truck, then you have to avoid the lifting task. So always go for only 75% of your forklift trucks. Never go for the 100%. Forklifts longitude instability. If you are lifting too heavy load, so this thing will happen. It will go forward and your forklift will become unstable. Forklift trucks do's and don'ts. Forklift truck drivers training. Basic training is required. Skills, knowledge needed for safe operation of forklift truck. Specific job training required, especially the forklift truck. The people they have to handle knowledge of the workplace and special techniques required to handle the load or use in the area. Familiarization training on the job under close supervision. Managers must have basic training and knowledge of the vehicle, training and information on risk assessments, knowledge of any written systems of work that is required. Forklift trucks driver health. So the full movement of the trunk, normally agility, normal hearing, they can hear, and 12/6 vision. If spectacles should be worn, they must be worn at all times when they are using forklift trucks or when they are at work, and stable mentality. So these are the requirements, health requirements for forklift trucks driver. Forklift trucks read capacity plate. All forklift trucks must display a rated capacity plate, which will show the actual weight at a certain distance from fork face that the truck can lift. For example, the weight is 2500 kg, load center is 600 millimeter, mast height is 4.5 meter. So these are the requirements should be placed on the forklift truck and they should be clearly visible on the forklift truck. Forklift trucks hazards associated with fuels. Battery charging. There are some forklift trucks which is used batteries. So the battery charging has a hydrogen gas, ventilation, fire equipment, no smoking, and signage should be there. Sulfuric acid, protective clothing required, spillage procedures, clean water, faucet, and topping up procedures should be required for the sulfuric acid. After that, we have the electricity. Insulated tools should be there. Safe charging procedures and isolation should be required related to the battery charging. Conveyors hazards. Drawing in contact cuts, abrasions, entanglement, striking due to falling objects, manual handling, and noise. So these are the hazards related to the conveyor. Whenever we have to use the conveyor, these are the hazards related to them. Types of conveyors. How many types of conveyors are there? There are three types of conveyors. First is the belt conveyors. This is the belt conveyors. There is the roller conveyors. There is the one, and screw conveyors. There is the screw conveyors. So these are the three different types of conveyors are there. So that's all from my side.